Today, I am devoting to dementia caregivers. So I'm going to be sharing 5 surprising facts about dementia caregivers. Dementia is the most expensive illness to care for. I'm Dr. Regina Kep. I'm a board-certified clinical psychologist, and I specialize with older adults and families. I created the Psychology of Aging podcast to answer some of the most common questions I get about aging. Questions about mental health and wellness, changes in the brain, like with dementia, relationships and sex, caregiving, and even end of life. Like I say in my therapy groups, no topic is off topic. We just have to have a healthy way of talking about it. So if you're an older adult or caring for one, you're in the right place. Let's get started. As we get started, I wanted to share with you an important guide that I made called Dementia 101, a beginner's guide to dementia disorders. In this guide, I talk about what dementia is and what it isn't. I'll link to it in my show notes, so take a minute and download it. It answers some of the most frequently asked questions I get about dementia. Today, I am devoting to dementia caregivers. So I'm going to be sharing 5 surprising facts about dementia caregivers. So the first interesting, surprising fact, nearly half of all caregivers provide care for somebody living with dementia. So of all the illnesses that older adults experience, all the illnesses that people in life experience and need care for, nearly half of all caregivers everywhere provide care for people living with dementia. That includes Alzheimer's, vascular, Lewy body, all types of dementia disorders. Nearly half. So that says a lot about the complexity of dementia and how much care is needed, especially at the middle and later phases. So number 2 is that the majority of people living with dementia live with a family member, not in a nursing home. In fact, still less than 5% of older adults live in nursing homes. So the majority of people living with dementia actually live with a family member. And women tend to be the ones providing care. So of all dementia caregivers, 2/3, that's 67%, are women. And over 1/3 are daughters. So number 3 is that dementia is the most expensive illness to care for because it often requires 24/7 care for long periods of time, like years and years. In 2018, dementia caregivers reported nearly twice the average out-of-pocket expenses than caregivers caring for other conditions. So they spent on average $11,000 and some change, and other caregivers spent $6,000. That includes like paying out-of-pocket expenses for like medical care, personal care, household expenses, and so on for the person living with dementia. So along with how expensive dementia caregiving can be, caregivers caregive 1 to 4 years longer than caregivers of other conditions. 1 to 4 years longer than caregivers of other conditions. So not only are they paying annually nearly twice as much as their caregivers who are not caring for dementia but other conditions, they're spending that much money for longer, for 1 to 4 years longer. So it's really intense on families. So, and that's why there's so much attention to dementia, because it's a really, the illness course is very painful. All illness courses are, and there's a complexity with the mind, all the changes in the brain, and the complexities with that, and decision making and behavioral issues, and that takes a toll on caregivers. And we'll talk about that toll in a minute. I don't mean to diminish the effect of caregiving for folks who are not caring for dementia disorders. I think caregiving is an incredibly selfless, challenging, no matter what condition you're caring for. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about dementia caregivers, but I really have a lot of value and respect for caregivers who are caregiving for any condition. Number 4 is that 60% of dementia caregivers are still working on average 35 hours a week. Whoa, right? So almost full time. So 60% of caregivers of folks living with dementia are working almost full time. That is impressive. And this is where I think we could do better as a society with Family Medical Leave Act and protecting folks' jobs with caregiving. We need to be doing a better job with that as a society. All right, and number 5 is that caregivers of people with dementia, unfortunately, have higher rates of stress, depression, anxiety, strain than caregivers caring for other medical problems. They also have more health problems than caregivers who are caring for other medical problems. And this is attributed to all of the challenges with the behavioral issues that come with dementia and the 24/7 kind of care need that often folks in the middle or later stages of dementia cannot be left alone. They need 24/7 care. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of decision-making by the family caregiver for small and large decisions. It's very challenging. And that takes a toll. So all of that stress and strain, that takes a toll. I wanted to give a shout out to dementia caregivers because, I hear from caregivers all the time that they'll share with me, nobody asks me how I'm doing. Nobody really takes the time to listen to how I'm doing. And it's challenging because it can lead to a lot of loneliness. There could be loneliness in the relationship if the person doesn't recognize you anymore. And then there's loneliness potentially with society if you're kind of stuck at home doing 24/7 supervision or care. And so if you are caring for somebody with dementia, I see you and I value what you're doing. And please, please, please take care of yourself because we know that depression and anxiety and stress and strain will not only affect your sense of self and well-being, it will affect your health. And so please find some ways to take care of yourself. One way to take care of yourself is to listen to stories of other caregivers and get support. And so you could do that at your local Alzheimer's Association. They have loads of family support programs. You don't even have to have Alzheimer's dementia to receive services at Alzheimer's Association. And it's a nonprofit. It's typically free. Find the Alzheimer's Association near you, in your chapter, and get connected with a support group.
If you have friends who are caring for their older loved ones, please share this podcast with them because nobody should have to do this caregiving thing alone. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Subscriptions and reviews actually help people to find this show. And here's why this is so important. Older adults and people who care for older adults are often left out of the conversation when it comes to mental health and wellness. So do your part to include them by subscribing and leaving a review. As always, the information shared in this episode is for educational purposes only and should not take the place of licensed medical or mental health care. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Lots of love to you and your family. Bye for now.
Lena, do you think aging is scary?
No,
No? Why not?
it makes us happy.
Aging makes us happy?
Yeah, I want to be bigger and taller.